Welcome to the Real Estate Agent Podcast, episode 48. Wow, Jonathan, 48. And this is the first of about three, all about Zillow.
Yeah, we're going to delve deep into the mighty portal that Zillow, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit of history about me and Zillow. I was overseas like 4 or 5 years ago, and the young officers, when we get into Bagram, would get on Zillow because they all wanted to buy houses in North Carolina. We're from Fort Bragg area. They wanted to go out to the coastline. They wanted to buy cabins and houses. So they're always looking on Zillow. And a lot of them did that because they had some money they saved up from being on a combat tour. And I saw Zillow, and I was really amazed with Zillow, even overseas when we had crappy bandwidth and all the things that we had over in Bagram, Afghanistan. So I thought to myself, wow, I'd like to send a new kind of office. It looked like an Apple store with 2 monitors in front, which are iMacs, and like a Genius bar behind, and maybe a little conference room, and then recruit 3 teams for that office and then sell out, some of the ownership of that office, but get them focused at using some of the new technologies. Now, I had the money, but that never happened. My wife didn't want to go forward here in Reno, which we started a little nothing office, not a nothing office, but we really didn't focus at recruiting agents and creating those teams. And she has since then combined in with Chase International, which is a pretty good company. It's a big, I'd say fairly traditional company still, and the traditional still works. But anyway, so that's where we start. So I didn't necessarily, and then let me go on for a second on Zillow. So come down to like last month, we used Zillow to actually lease our house in Modesto, California, a couple times. It worked really, really well to lease the house. We got like 20 people the first day who wanted to see the house. And that's just off us putting our house in Zillow. Even though we're agents, it's just like you can do the same thing. So I was really impressed with it. But then I started digging into Zillow, and I had 1 account, but my wife had 4 accounts. So, oh my gosh. So we had to unmess those accounts.
Yeah.
And so we started working because we were trying to get referrals for her and set up. And, we've been talking MailRight about that.
Yeah.
And by the way, go ahead.
So you've had that bit. So you decided, you and your wife, that you were going to take up one of their paid schemes. And you've learned now some of the things you should have done before you decided to pay for it. It's not that you're negative about what you've done, but we've discussed that you should have set her account up a bit more before you push the button, really. So what are some of the things with reflection you should have got set up? And can you go through that? And so we can give some real advice to our listeners that they don't quite make that initial mistake. They should get everything set up before they decide to utilize one of Zillow's paid systems.
Right. Well, there is more to the story. And you sort of beat me to the punch there, but that's good because we want to build up reputation management. You want to get, referrals, and you want people to write you up in past clients. And there's a lot of things you can do to understand the Zillow product better. I think in the next episode, we'll go more into the products and what they are. But for a short story, let me say what happened. So we're on the line, and my wife and I have 3 rules that evolved. Before we started our businesses, when I was on active duty, when we were young, we had a rule: if anyone spent over $100, we'd talk to each other. And that's a really good rule. Then we started our businesses, real estate and construction, and we had a lot of money going through the company. And we didn't use that rule. But in fact, we needed to use that rule for other things. If I signed a contract or do anything, sometimes I signed them without reviewing them with Karen, and I think that was a big mistake. Not that we got mad at each other. It's just good to always say that you're not the decision maker. So anyway, we're both in here, which is really bad when we're talking to Zillow. It should have just been me, I think. And Karen is really interested in Zillow because he said at Chase, some of the top agents are using Zillow. I had sort of come back away from Zillow and hadn't researched it enough. So we're online and we're trying to fix her Zillow account, making it right. And we're having problems getting rid of these other accounts. And what I did is I called the support up. Well, the support really is sales. I mean, it's the best sales I've ever seen. And she knew that Zillow was working for some of the agents in her office. So before I know it, long story short, we have a commitment for 12 months for $320 a month.
Wow. Yep.
And I'm not mad that we have Zillow right now because I'm not sure that it's worth $320, but I'm not sure it's not worth $320. But what I am frustrated on, before you go to setting up that account, there's no reason why you shouldn't do at least two things.
Mhm.
One is get rid of all the other accounts, because it took some time for them to do it. I had to call back and forth. Two is to build up your referral basis, not your referral, but your, what do you call it when someone gives you a kudos? Reviews. Yeah, I wasn't thinking reviews. So I'll probably take that out of the podcast. So two is make sure you get your reviews up, do all your reviews, which you can do. And that's a little bit of work.
Yeah, and I like to point out to folks that it doesn't have to be reviews that, you know, if it's buyers and sellers, they're the best, but it could be reviews about when you did an open house, you know, you run the open house really well and you got somebody to give you a review about that, or somebody had an inquiry and you really were professional and you dealt with their inquiry. So obviously sales and buyers would be the best, but don't restrict yourself with the reviews you're trying to get just from that source. Would you agree with that, Bill?
I agree 110%. One thing that's confusing, though, is when you go to do a review, it asks you the reference of the property. So if you're talking about open house, just put that open house down. So I think we should really focus at the rest of this show of two things. We're going to talk about Zillow. I'm going to show the Premier account. I'm going to show my account. But the rest of the show, I think we should talk about how you go about getting these reviews. Now, I should have gone in and read more of my Zillow notes, so maybe I'll bring more back because, again, we're focusing on reviews. So straighten out your account so you have one account. Get reviews. Make sure your picture's right. Make sure everything is right. Now, Jonathan, I'll let you talk for a second and talk about reviews and what you do with reviews, because there's some other things you can do too. Before you have someone do a live Zillow review, which you can't take back, you might want to use MailRite.
Yeah, because part of MailRite, folks, is it's got a review generation system where you can put single people in. Basically, it's a primitive customer contact system. We're actually building it out so it have a bit more sophistication. But you can put single people in, or you can import a list, and then you can send so many pre-written messages per month to that list, or you can click a box and click a link, and it will send a predefined email asking for a review, and you can customize those initial messages so they're more personalized. And then if they click a button saying they're happy to give a review, it takes them to another screen which has a nice picture of you, and it asks them to give a mark between 0 and 10. And then if it's below a certain threshold, which you can set, it will take them to another screen saying, we're sorry that you weren't entirely happy and I will be contacting you. And you can customize that message. But if it's, let's say, over 7, it will take them to another screen after they've gave a mark of 8 and left a review. And it will have the review that they've just given, and it will have a button that will take them to Zillow or one of the other review sites that you choose. But it also puts it into our system as well, so you can edit it, and you got it as a reference, Bill.
Jonathan, I'm about to blow my brains out.
Why?
I'm just giving you a hard time. Jonathan, you can tell, is not the real estate broker agent. He is the SaaS developer, and he's trying to sell. You need to hire a really good real estate agent who knows a little bit about technology to go out there for you. You just gave a really good explanation of everything. But of all the real estate agents I know, I don't think many could really follow that through. So we need pictures and designs and a link. But we need to figure out how to shorten that down. Hey, with that, we're going to go to a break. But first, before we go to break, we're going to look at this site for just 2 seconds and present to everyone. And that's what a Zillow Premier site looks like. And I want to show you, when we come back on the backside, 2 things before we finish up this show. I want to show you MailRite, and I want to show a little bit, which will make it easier for Jonathan to explain. And I want to also go ahead and show you what my non-Premier site looks like, almost the same.
I think, Bill, I think you're totally right. I got a bit techie there, but I think Nick's show, what we should do, I think in this show, you should really just concentrate on the things that you should have filled in and got ready.
Let me go on a break. We can redo this if you want to.
Yeah.
Do you want to redo the whole show?
Yeah, I think what we should do, Bill, I think what the value.
Let's stay on. I'm going to stop broadcasting.
Yeah.